Hello there, everyone. Welcome to another installment of Tapcaf Transmissions, the only podcast that calls all of its episodes installments legally from now on. I'm Corey. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. Justin EckhartsLadder. How are you doing today, Justin?
I'm a little worried that I'm going to forget to call one of the future installments, and what's the repercussions for that?
Well, you're our lawyer, so you'd be the one to determine that, right?
Okay, yeah.
What are you going to do? Sue yourself? Not likely.
Not likely. Yeah, okay, we're good. We're good.
Nice.
Sue, you, on the other hand, I could see that.
You know I got nothing. What are you going to take from me?
Video ideas. Oh, that's 20 video ideas for that one.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I don't have any of those either. Right, well, I guess it's technically, for our American listeners, it's a Thanksgiving adjacent episode.
Oh yeah,
That's
true.
What day is that? Actually?
Yeah, no, it is today. It's Thanksgiving, not adjacent. It is Thanksgiving today.
Look at that. Well, happy Thanksgiving.
I know that because
today.
there's no hockey.
Oh well, that's too bad.
Yeah, but so I read this right before starting the episode, and it's really stuck with me. The best turkey isn't even as good as an average Costco rotisserie chicken. Agree or disagree?
I think that's true.
Yeah.
Turkey is inherently dry.
Yeah. I think turkey, whenever I go to like my parents or my in-laws for turkey dinner, I skip the bullshit. I make a turkey sandwich. Like, I know you're not a big sandwich guy, but for me, that's
understating it.
Yeah. They're always like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm making a sandwich. The turkey on its own doesn't do it for me.
Well, what's your go-to Thanksgiving or festive meal then? Because for us, we go for the ham instead.
I mean, I don't mind turkey. Like, my in-laws make a phenomenal turkey, especially like the dark meat. It's just like, it's still not as good as the best rotisserie chicken or the average rotisserie chicken. Yeah. So for those wondering as well, in Canada we have Thanksgiving, but it's in October. So yeah. We had it a few weeks ago.
We get it out of the way much earlier than you guys. It's so much better because it's not quite as close to Christmas. We have it in a nice place, and
it feels better to be like in that early fall time. I feel like, or the mid fall, rather than like right now where it's like late fall, even early winter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's just so many cold holidays. We have one in Canadian Thanksgiving that's like it's only slightly cold. It's mostly warm still.
You got your pumpkins out. It's a good vibe.
Yeah, you get that. Then you get your Halloween in there. Then it's a clear shot till Christmas.
Yeah, because we put Christmas stuff. Well, my wife puts Christmas stuff up day after Remembrance Day.
Yeah, I mean we do it like November 2nd if we're bored.
Yeah.
My mom used to do that. But like, people should keep in mind that Canadian Christmas is also November 26th. So
yeah, Jesus Christ was born on a different day over here.
Well, it depends. The Canadian Jesus it's a different story.
Bobby Orr?
All right. Well, I guess that's a good opportunity for you to plug your Hockey Clips channel. But we are going to be talking about Andor tonight primarily, unless you want to double back before we get going and cover the Twitter drama that we didn't talk about with Mark here. So Justin is barely under the weather, so we're not going to be doing a super long episode. We probably won't be getting to questions this week. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing next week, so that might even be just a general Q&A episode. We haven't done one of those in a while.
Probably be a good time for that. That's the thing about, I knew this would happen if I didn't do it when it happened. I've lost a lot of my energy to even fight this, but basically, so I got the hardcover copy for Convergence, which is the new, it's not even, everyone was saying it's the young adult High Republic novel, but it's not. This is the like the mainline novel. And the back of the cover had what I thought was a pretty funny quote. It says, "If I were not a Jedi, then I would not be who I am." Which is like, I just thought it was like, it's not stupid. It's just like the most kind of trite kind of I called it a truism, just kind of boring thing to put on a back cover.
Yeah.
Anyway,
In the context of a conversation in the book, it's probably completely fine. But using it as like the advertising quote in the back of the book is just a little bit funny.
Yeah, and that's I tweet out like LOL, like what is this High Republic book cover? And that tweet absolutely blew up, for my standards anyway. I got a few thousand likes, but then at one point the High Republic stands discovered it, and some of them, like, listen, I can give it, so I can take it. Like some were like photoshopping the book back of the book with like funny quotes about my YouTube channel and stuff. Like that's totally fine. There were a couple people though that just took it way too far. Like this one girl, completely out of her mind, was like, funny how you got that energy when it's when like it's a woman Jedi. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, anyway, I don't. It's just people. It's just unbelievable how completely that quote got misinterpreted, and it ended up being, I think, quite obvious that some of these people, especially the one that I got into a real tiff with, were doing it to kind of bring attention to their own stuff. But it was just probably the greatest example I've seen of something getting way out of hand on Twitter.
Yeah, like that's what you want your Taylor Swift tweets to do, not your Star Wars tweets.
I've been trying with the Taylor Swift tweets, and honestly, no one's been biting. Like I put something out about recently about how she's like a harsh capitalist now, as well as an eco-terrorist. Nobody even bit. So,
well, I'm sorry. I was really sad for you when that didn't go off, because like I've seen you make a few attempts in the last couple of weeks, and they're not going anywhere. Yeah, I know how much those mean to you.
I have like there'll be like 2 or 3 genuine fans. Like I did tweet one, and there was like somebody who, a Taylor Swift fan, is like, my mother is a huge Star Wars fan, and I hope she never sees this tweet because it would kill her. Like that one wasn't even. I just felt sad about. So yeah, I think I'm done. I think my feud with Taylor Swift is over for now. No, that's not true. That's not true.
I mean, the thing, I think that the context that's missed between people coming after you for nonsense interpretations of your tweet and you going after Taylor Swift is that Taylor Swift will never actually read those things. If Taylor Swift was actually the person on the receiving end of it, then that's just mean she's a real person too, eco-terrorist and horrific pleb-killing capitalist that she is. But the only people who are going to see it are people who are name-searching her to go after people who are even slightly criticizing her. It's the exact same thing with fucking Elon Musk as well, where he has a bunch, well, he'll probably see anyone tweeting about him, but he has a bunch of people who'd fucking name-search him and talk about how no one's ever criticized their boss before.
Yeah, Elon Musk has completely went off. He spends all his time now just like replying to these weird far-right weirdos on it's just, he's just lost it completely. Like, yeah, I agree. Like if I were actually harassing Taylor Swift, yeah, that's not a good move. Although she is an eco-terrorist and a brutal capitalist. But regarding the High Republic stuff, and you pointed this out, I didn't realize this. Like we've read all the big High Republic books. We've given them all positive reviews and stuff. I understand people are protective of the High Republic, partially because like they did get shit on quite a bit, especially at the beginning. But like, you got to be careful because like you're almost proving people right. Like when you are reacting that way to any little bit of even a light joke, it's like that's not helping, the perception of High Republic stands. It's just hurting it.
I mean, it kind of goes both ways. Where like there's an assumption among the a lot of the High Republic stan Twitter that anyone who's criticizing them is engaged in all these other bad faith criticisms. So therefore, like you say one bad thing, you're all part of that, as the person who went after you was kind of demonstrating, saying like, like basically blaming you for stuff like the commentary on Riva that we were both very strongly against on, like we talked about that on the podcast and how disgusting the treatment of Riva's actress was and how the uh, discourse around Reva's character had some really unnecessarily negative elements. And you even said like Reva was your favorite new Star Wars
Yeah,
character in a while.
that was really frustrating. She's like, y'all did the same to Reva. And I was like, what are you talking about, y'all? Like, I loved Reva.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, so now you like one black person. So I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
that was to me the like, I'm gonna fully admit it. I didn't even know who wrote the book when I tweeted that thing out. I opened the package for the High Republic, or because we get the books,
Yeah.
and I opened the package. I didn't even know what it was for. I just saw the back cover and I tweeted it. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Twitter is ridiculous. And then there's the people who like got into the drama on the other side, seeing the High Republic people going after you and saying a bunch of transphobic shit, thinking you'd be on board with that.
Yeah,
like,
don't do that.
No, fuck you guys.
Yeah, I don't want you to do that, please. Even if I didn't care about that thing, those issues, and trans rights and things, which I do, it's like you're making me look bad. You're winning the argument for them. Like, that, don't do that. Like, I've said that, and like the same thing happened with the Wikipedia scandal, where like scandal, that's too harsh of a word, but where like I had a legitimate grievance with Wikipedia and how they were treating one of their admins. And I ended up having to essentially drop it because it got too fiery, which sucks. Because, it means that like, if I can't lay criticism without people going wild, then like, I can't talk about bad shit when it happens.
Yeah, like it always ends up descending into bad faith character assassination, where it's the same thing with like any media criticism in Star Wars will eventually turn into fire everyone involved in this thing. They're terrible and we should dox them on one hand, versus anything you say that's even marginally negative now means that you're part of that problem as well.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Both of those are just the most fucking frustrating thing in the world.
Yeah.
One of those I do think is actually significantly worse than the other, but they're both annoying.
Yeah, no, definitely. You're right that it feels like there's sometimes not a whole lot of room for nuance, I guess. And that is really frustrating. Where I've had the same thing where like one day I'll be accused of being a Phantom Menace guy, and then the other day I'll be, because like I was critical of something. The next day it's, oh, I'm a shill because I like the High Republic, or Andor or whatever. But
it's one of the things that's been annoying with Andor as well. I fucking love the show. I'll happily defend it if people want to like talk about it. But there's also been a response of like, if you dislike it, it's because you're stupid and you only like vroom vroom flash flash. Like, okay, if you only like vroom vroom, even if we take that as the premise of you only like vroom vroom flash flash lightsaber go swoop, then who gives a shit? You find that entertaining, good for you. People saying like you're an idiot if you don't like Andor is just, I find that incredibly frustrating as well.
Yeah, it's another situation where like you're not helping anybody out, like you're just alienating people. And I agree. Like, I still, as much as I think Andor is like probably as good of a show as you could possibly make in the Star Wars universe, I still probably like Mando season 1 more, just because it kind of reminds me more of why I fell in love with Star Wars as a kid. But like, it's just like, I don't know. I've seen a lot of that online, and you tweeted earlier, and I agree that like some of it is bad faith on like the other side as well, where it's like, I'm just gonna, basically make it my personality not liking something and not really engage with it meaningfully, which there definitely is a lot of that.
So yeah, the context of that is like there was someone who was initially coming out in a very negative position on Andor, and they were like, oh, well, I don't want to be negative about Andor all the time, so I'm going to stop making content about it for a while. But then they announced their return to making Star Wars content by talking about how they were going to do a big video on how bad everything is for Star Wars, which to me comes across as saying, I stopped covering Andor because my negative coverage didn't get the response that it usually does. And as soon as I'm confident that I'm going to get the support that I am going for by making videos in this tone, I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
Like, if your complaint about Andor is that there's, for example, if someone were to say the problem with Andor is that there are, for example, just making up a wild one here, buildings made of bricks or you see a screw on something, I would consider that a bad faith criticism that has no bearing in Star Wars and is just made up to have something negative to say about the show, or to try to justify the fact that you may not like it, which would be perfectly valid, but are incapable as a human being of saying, this is not for me.
Yeah, I think it'd be better if people would just, if you like, I agree. If you don't like it, I think that's fine. And like, I guess it is sometimes hard to maybe put into words why that is. It's just, I don't know. With the finale, it was just so positive. I wish that was kind of what got amplified versus all the,
Yeah,
there's always BS, and like I don't want to. I didn't want to focus on the BS. Same with you,
well,
I'm sure.
But I no, it's something that like I think of a lot. Where I think, especially people in our positions trying to make content about something, the knee jerk reaction isn't just to say I didn't like this, or even to try. It's not even about like whether you can find a way to put it into words or not.
Yeah.
It's about trying to frame whatever response you have as being based on an objective thing, because you're trying to protect your image as someone who comments on these. So if you're saying something that is an opinion rather than something that you can argue for as fact, then I think a lot of people feel like they're going to lose credibility. Whereas, like, if anything you believe is subjective, even if that's your opinion on a piece of art, then they think that this just undermines them. And they kind of need to go head on. And I think both of us probably experience this to some extent as well. Like, I think everyone in any kind of position where people are going to be reading or listening to their thoughts on stuff has that some level of that pressure applied when they're writing out those thoughts or expressing those thoughts. So it just gets really difficult for people to say, this is my reaction. This is my reaction based maybe just on my tastes, rather than this is my reaction because there's this big objective flaw that I found, which is why my opinion is the correct one. And there's a lot of people listening to that type of content who are only looking for that kind of opinion, and who are convinced that anything less than a fully objective take on the quality of something is useless. So they have to pretend that a subjective take is an objective one.
Yeah, that's a good point. I will say though, even with that, I think there's been a lot of pushback from just average viewers and people on Twitter and whatever else against kind of takes like that. Like, I don't think they've been gaining the same widespread support as takes would for. I guess there weren't as many about Mando, but obviously, like during The Last Jedi, you could say anything negative about the show, paint it in whatever way, and it would get a ton of support. Yeah. I'm seeing a lot more pushback from this.
I mean, it was there at the start of Mando as well, and then it started dropping off more as it became clear that most people were at least moderately positive on it, and there was more of it in Kenobi or Book of Boba Fett. But like it was more about the framing of everything than necessarily the responses people had.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair.
Like when there's, no, I'm not even gonna go there. But anyways, what did you think about the finale? Then you
probably the best episode, I think. Very emotional. We've talked about this before, but we got screeners for these ones, which is kind of weird because we didn't for any of the other ones, besides for the first 4. At least I don't think so. I mean, it's possible we were getting them the whole time.
That's true.
We just never checked. But this was the first one. I watched the finale so many times. I wore out the access that you get. Like, they wouldn't let me watch it anymore.
That's the first times.
Yeah, and which is weird because I didn't actually think that would go down, but apparently it does. But yeah, great finale. There's a lot to talk about. Obviously, the Ferric stuff got the most attention, but we also saw a pretty big change in Mon Mothma. Well, not really a change, but a kind of a stake put down in Mon Mothma's story, where she's fully setting up Perrin now to take a fall.
Yeah.
Like, Mon Mothma is throwing, and I think my opinion on Perrin's changed a lot throughout the season. Where at first I was like, this guy is a douchebag, maybe even evil, and kind of as the season's gone on, I've realized more. And like, no, he's kind of just like he's kind of a dumb idiot, but like, I don't think he's that bad of a guy overall. Like, he kind of lets the bad things happen, but himself, I don't think he's that bad. And that kind of really changed how I felt about Mon Mothma she's throwing him under the bus, like under Imperial scrutiny, and she knows it's going to happen.
So I did a clip about this, and I actually don't think that she's necessarily putting him in danger for what she's doing. She's putting him under scrutiny just for the gambling debts. But if it turns out that that's what he gets investigated for, then at most he's going to look like kind of a fool. Like he's not gonna be personally in danger from that. He'd be at most in danger from shit Mon Mothma was already doing. But I called this an ice cold move from Mon Mothma, and I got some pushback on that because he's not being put in any direct danger through it. But I think if you look at the reasons that, like, if you look at what Perrin cares about, what he thinks he cares about, he's ignoring all this other stuff that has horrible impacts on other people because he cares about his own comfort. And I think he does care about his family's comfort. Him and Mon Mothma are clearly not communicating very well because she's trying to start an underground rebellion and they have very different values. But I don't think, like, as much as he is indirectly a dick to her, I don't think he's setting out uh, to hurt her. So when Mon Mothma is coming to him in the car there and basically setting him up that way, coming at him with that information, then like I think he is really kind of floored by that, and it probably really hurts him. And that's why I think that's why I kind of framed it that way. Because, like, as far as he's concerned, he does seem to really care about Mon Mothma and their daughter, as much as he may be frustrated, unreasonably, in my opinion, with her positions on issues in the Empire, because he just doesn't care about other people. But if you try to look at it from how he's probably approaching it, that must have been, like, incredibly confusing and devastating for him.
Yeah, and one thing that I did notice is that his demeanor was kind of similar to when she had accused him of things in the past, and the ease of which she was able to lie, like convincingly lie to him and set him up that way. Like it's almost like emotionally abusive in a way where like she people use gaslighting kind of willy-nilly, but she is essentially gaslighting him here. And I agree that it's maybe not putting him in direct harm with the Empire, but we do see that there is a scene with the ISB right before they do the Krieger op, or the post op rather,
Right.
where the ISB agent is basically saying that, listen, him having gambling debts is our ticket or our in to Mon Mothma. Like it's our way to maybe bring her down. So perhaps she's being opened up to more kind of shenanigans that way. But I agree that he's not in real danger unless they can figure out where the money is going. And there's probably bigger issues in that case.
Yeah, like I still think, even though it puts him on their radar, which is never what you want, like it, even in that scene, they're not talking about him for his own sake. It's just that would be our end to Mon Mothma. So like they probably wouldn't care about taking him down in some way, politically or physically or whatever, if it would mean getting to her. But that was probably already the case before. This is just giving them more of an opportunity to get at her.
Yeah, I agree. Either way, I agree. Ice cold. And I did feel for Perrin there, because you're right. You could tell that he is hurt by the accusation, especially where it sounds like, the gambling was something he dealt with in the past, and he promised to be better. And
it'd be like if he had a drinking problem and had been dealing with that effectively, and then had her come at him for going out binge drinking, and he knows he hasn't. He thinks she knows he hasn't, and then he's thinking, does she really think I did this? And that for what his values are, that would probably really hurt. So poor Perrin, but he needs to broaden his horizons, maybe.
Little goofy fuck.
The trickier one is going to be later when that comes more in, where like the kind of out there, or the twist they're trying to give it to make it more of an unclear moral zone is that Leta's like very into the traditional Chandrilan customs.
Yeah.
And like, how culpable is Mon Mothma for going along with that, rather than had she just forced her into it in the way that she's kind of doing with Perrin here.
Yeah, that was and that is kind of how they ended off the season, almost with Lita meeting her new probably husband.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that develops into the next season.
Did you realize who the husband was?
No, who?
Foreign whore. No.
Yeah, I don't know if that works, but it might.
No. It's another Chandrilan family, right? So unless
Yeah.
unless Corrin, they'd be the right age, actually. No, how old was he in Kenobi?
He's like 12, I think.
Okay, so not quite.
Yeah, he's a little too old.
Yeah. I did like that scene with the ISB afterwards as well, because like showing just straight up how much the Empire, how much the ISB is focusing on placating Palpatine and his position on things rather than actually trying to do what their stated objectives would be.
Yeah, did you also notice it seems like since the show has started that excuse my voice crack. Since the show has started that what's her name? Dedra's gotten quite a big promotion. Just like the way Partagaz is talking to her during the meeting where he's almost being like almost deferential.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, or like he's like, listen, we could have waited. Like he's calling her to explain why he didn't wait, basically.
Yeah, he sounds almost apologetic when he could just say, shut up.
What do you mean? You're my fucking lackey. Like, why would I wait? Like,
yeah, that's a good point. Like, he does at least understand some element of the gravity of what they're doing, even if he doesn't know the downstream effects, and how could he? But, like, sure, Krieger's important to do, but they already had the resources there to take him out. They could have paid attention to other things at the same time.
I definitely thought when listening to... Because that happens, I believe, right after the scene with what's-his-name's monologue, his recording. I thought that might result in just the way it was sounding. I was like, okay, they're gonna save men to save Krieger. Like they're gonna send people to save Krieger. Like they're gonna make the decision to not sacrifice him. But nope.
You thought we'd see Saw get all fucked up or something?
Well, I don't know. I was expecting just something, but I'm not disappointed it didn't happen. I just, with the way it was talking about like, little rebellions and coming together, I thought that they were going to choose not to sacrifice those people and to do the non-imperial thing, but they didn't.
Yeah. Well, how many people would ultimately know? It's just Saw, right? Like Luthen and Saw?
Yeah, I thought Saw... I guess I figured Saw would send a few X-Wings or something.
Yeah.
But nope.
Oh well.
It's funny, all the Andor like key art has like the characters standing with like X-Wings flying by. We don't see a single X-Wing fly in the whole show.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. That's true. It's like the B2, like it's like him standing in front of an X-Wing flying by. It's like that doesn't happen.
Not yet.
Yeah.
What if B2 is R2? What if he gets put into a new body? We've never seen R2 before this point, have we?
No, of course not. Yeah, imagine B2 trying to save the fucking B2 and his high anxiety trying to save the Naboo Star Cruiser as it's flying at the blockade.
Oh, poor little B2. I was convinced he was going to die. Like, when he got knocked over there, I was like, oh, this is where he ends. But that's the thing I love about it. They treat him as one of their own. They drag him to safety, and he's fine. He's going to survive the whole series. He's going to become Chancellor of the New Republic after Episode 9. Only good things.
I loved how he was like singing along with the chant. I thought was awesome. Mm-hmm. He was beeping and bopping his head. It was very cool. But yeah. That whole I saw some people complaining about the Star Wars marching band. I thought it was great. Star Wars music has always been pretty much just regular music with like that silver or like with thingies on it. So I thought it was really good. It did a good job of making the planet seem more than just, because a worse show would have had Andor leave Ferrix and like maybe focused on his mom a bit, but had something unfortunate befall the planet. In this, they spend so much time that the characters really feel like a community.
Yeah.
And it's like, even at the end, like I'm bad with names. So like I know Brasso's name and Bix, obviously, but like even though I don't know, I'm like, okay, that's the communication, that's the guy who owns like the communications place, or this is the guy
Mhm.
that owns the shipyard, or that's the kid whose dad was killed earlier on. Um and I just thought they did such a phenomenal job in little things like the Sisters of Ferrex. Just it really made it feel like a real community, and that makes the uprising all the more impactful.
Yeah, like that's I think if they didn't do that, if people were complaining about that, that kind of misses the whole thesis of the show almost.
Yeah,
And I think that's what Luthen also misses out on. Like, because his plan with Val and Sint is that they're coming to just eliminate Cassian while the Empire finishes off with their uh, cracking down on this funeral. Nothing big is going to happen. But,
yeah,
like, Luthen should really realize that for what he's trying to incite, like, this funeral, this garrison, the kind of people that are there are exactly what he's looking for. Like, if he was paying more attention to the human element, then he probably wouldn't have been there in the first place. Like, he's getting a little bit too caught up in uh, his own personal angle of it all.
yeah.
And obviously, we're like, I don't think he's disappointed by the fact that they do that. He looks really happy at the end. He obviously doesn't kill Cassian when Cassian gives him the opportunity. But the fact that they hadn't really accounted for by that, he seemed almost surprised by it, kind of shows to me, I think, like, the idea that Nemec has a better idea of what's ultimately going to be the Empire than Luthen, or what's better to take its place. Even if, like, obviously what Luthen's doing is necessary, he's still missing out on some elements of it.
Yeah, I didn't really know what to think about Luthen because at during the speech they spend a lot of time just focusing on his face, and it seems like it's really resonating with him on some level.
Mm-hmm.
What Marva's saying, but you're right. He is, his whole thing since early on, episode 6 maybe, or even earlier, was like we need to show people that the Empire, like you can't let them strangle us slowly, basically.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe there was a moment where, like at the end, where he's leaving after the firefight breaks out, or the slaughter rather. It's only one side has guns. After the slaughter breaks out, he's looking back at Ferrex on fire, and I do feel like he was hit maybe by like, this is what the human side of
Mm-hmm.
all my so-called pragmatism is. It's like old women being shot and children being shot. So I do feel like uh, I do feel like maybe I don't know if he had regret, but I feel like he probably has a better idea of what the real kind of impact of what he's doing is.
Yeah, and he's probably kind of aware at that point that, like, this is replaying around the same time in another part of the galaxy with Krieger and people who
Yeah.
similarly believe in what he's trying to accomplish.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
I kind of wonder if we're going to see him fall off a little bit more in season 2, because we know he probably, we don't know, but he probably doesn't make it to the end of season 2. He's not in that Rogue One council or rebel leadership meeting that I saw, at least. And like, does Clea end up taking more of his position as he gets a little too caught up in certain elements of it?
I saw someone post that Luthen could be Aaron Kraken, and they look really fucking similar. And Kraken is obviously an intelligence agent. Like, if you were gonna cast a young Aaron Kraken, like, you would have done a perfect job with Stellan Skarsgård. Now, that being said, I don't think that's actually the case, but it would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't think he's anyone else. I don't think he's a Jedi or a Sith either, which has been kind of the big thing going around. What's your
Yeah.
thoughts been on that?
No, I don't think so. I will say I was ready to write it off completely. I saw Charlie's video and I was like, why did he make this? And I watched the video. I was like, okay, you know what? There's some stuff. There's some like smoke there. No, I don't think I don't think he's a Jedi.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you factor in, like, the props in the store have been mostly just
Yeah.
art department sneaking stuff in that Tony Gilroy wasn't aware of.
Yeah.
So unless he, like, decides between seasons to rewrite parts of it so Luthen can be a Jedi, I don't think that's going to be the case. His salt shaker is definitely not a lightsaber.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they're gonna, because we've got 12 episodes left now with season 2, and apparently it started filming a couple of days ago. I don't know how they're gonna wrap everything up with, like, this feels like there's still so much left unsaid. And kind of the season ends as well with Luthen and Cassian going one way, and then all of the kind of the real instigators of the Ferrix riot going the other way. I wish, like, I hope that's not the last we've seen. I don't know the kid's name, but the guy who makes the IED, you gotta love that kid, right?
Yeah.
He's the son of the other guy who got hanged, I believe, for not giving them information. So,
well, he got a brain blast first, so
yeah, I got Jimmy Neutron brain blasted.
Someone should make an edit where Dr. Gorst is Jimmy Neutron instead.
Yeah, that could be good. Or Jimmy Neutron's friend, the chubby one, maybe Carl. Yeah.
All right, someone get on that. I mean, I kind of thought the thing Cassian's working on is for the Death Star was in the same category as Luthen being a Jedi, and I am a little disappointed that I was wrong on that, because I just kind of thematically would have preferred it to be nothing, like just part of the necessities of them nationalizing a bunch of industries that had to be centralized to keep the Empire running, rather than being part of the Death Star's construction. But, oh well.
Yeah. One complaint I saw a lot of, which was really stupid, and for what I agree on that, I would have probably preferred them just to be building widgets, or like someone said, they're putting them together one place and disassembling them in another. But the one complaint that I saw a lot of is, how is the Death Star this far done? For one, the super laser takes a long time to finish, and for two, there's no indication that the post credit scene happens at the same time as the show. Like, it could be happening at any point. Yeah.
And like, they've had plans for that thing since episode 2, so who knows when they even started it. Like, it's the exact same thing as the end of episode 3. Like, is that scene at this, like, right at the end of episode 3, or is it 10 years down the line? It's very unclear.
I saw this really funny joke or meme that I think I've talked about on the podcast before, where it's like Tarkin and Krennic, and it's like all the lines from Rogue One is like, it's like Krennic and Tarkin's like, I want to see a full test of the battle station, and Krennic's like, dog, the dish ain't even in yet. It's like, you can see, like, it's true. It's like kind of ridiculous if you actually pay attention to the movie. He's like, yeah, the dish ain't even in yet. That's all I was thinking about. If someone could find that meme, I'd really appreciate it. But that's what I was thinking of when watching that scene.
Fantastic.
Yeah. The Empire is so unreasonable. I also saw another funny meme from Kyle Katarn, who's another Star Wars content creator, and it was a WWE like intro thing with Brasso, and the quote was, "And here comes Brasso with Marva's fucking ashes," like the amazing WWE intro.
If she could choose any place for her brick to be put, it's in the face of some Imperials.
Yeah. Okay, here's the question. Should the bell guy have used his hammer to knock the stormtrooper down? That's what I was expecting.
Yeah, me too. To the point that I've like rewritten the scene in my mind where that is what happens.
I can even imagine it. He hits the helmet, it cracks, he falls down. Yeah.
Oh well. Maybe next time.
Maybe.
I do really like also that the thing that kind of kicks off everything is that they go after B2.
Yeah. Like, it's like you kick a dog, basically.
Yeah, you're not getting away with that.
No.
But overall, what's your Andor thoughts now? Are you're still keeping Mando season 1 above it? You said already.
Yeah, I suppose it's like they're both S's for different reasons.
Right.
But yeah, S tier show, a million times better than I could have possibly hoped. Yeah, I'm going to try to be more open next time a Star Wars show comes out that I feel not interested in. Mando is also another one where I didn't feel that interested in it before it came out. But yeah, phenomenal show, excellent finale. Sucks you have to wait so long.
Yeah, that is really annoying how many things are doing like new season every 2 years now.
Yeah, it's like the new like premiere television style.
Yeah.
Um, I think Mando season 3 is going to really benefit from that, and I'm sure Andor season 2 will as well.
Well, with Mando, we even got like 2 episodes, 3 episodes of The Mandalorian, anyways, with Book of Boba Fett.
It's true, yeah.
It is kind of crazy to me that like this year has already been what we had. We had Book of Boba Fett, Kenobi, and Andor, and it seems like that's going to be low for upcoming years. Plus, we
Yeah, right.
had Tales of the Jedi, but I don't really count
Those
that. That
legit-
was
Yeah.
all released at once. But yeah,
Yeah, so next year, I know we've played this game a million times. Next year, we have not Andor season 2, like I said last time we played this game, because I figured it would be next year. But we do have Mando. We've got Bad Batch, which I'm actually quite excited for.
yeah,
So that'll probably be 24 episodes, right?
yeah. It should be similar length to the last season at least,
Yeah.
and that'll overlap with Mando for a significant portion, I think.
Yeah. So what else is coming up next year?
Skeleton Crew, Mando season
Right.
3, uh, Bad Batch, and I think like all that is just the first half of the year.
Visions as well.
Season 2 as well.
Is the Acolyte supposed to come out next year?
I think that's 2023. I think that and Andor, which is I'm gonna really like 2023. I think or 2024.
Bro, I was gonna say next year is 2023.
It's actually, and maybe Acolyte is 2023. Actually, hold on. The Acolyte. The cast list for that we haven't talked about, but it's got some good names.
Oh yeah,
on
the
it.
cast list for that is great. Carrie Ann Moss. I mean, come on.
Squid Game guy.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Begin filming in October. 8-episode season will be released.
If it's filming in October, I'm gonna guess probably maybe next December.
Maybe, but like it's been filming, or Andor was filming for quite some time as well.
Yeah, actually, and like I said, season 2 of Andor just started filming now.
Yeah.
And they're saying it's going to go until next summer with the release in this subsequent year. So
yeah. So I wouldn't expect that soon. I feel like they've said before, but that can't be the case.
Yeah.
It's not on Wikipedia. Is it on Wikipedia? Nope. It doesn't seem to have any. Yeah, it doesn't seem to have any release date anywhere. I don't know where I got the idea that it'd be coming out. When is Ahsoka? Is that going to be?
I don't think we know about Ahsoka either. I imagine
Ahsoka says
going to come in. Oh, really?
It will air exclusively on Disney Plus in 2023.
I kind of thought Ahsoka would kind of be like a Book of Boba Fett thing, where it would kind of serve as a season 3.5. But
well, if Mandalorian is coming out so early in the year, then like Ahsoka could be later in the year, and that could be how they're handling it.
Still really curious to see whether we get a Book of Boba Fett too.
I mean, they had the badges for it, the crew badges or whatever. But that might have just been...
I hope we do, but I just feel like there's so much potential for it.
Yeah, we could do all the things that we thought Book of Boba Fett might actually do with the character afterwards. I mean, he's kind of set up now, but I think we all thought it'd get further for the character than it did in first season.
Yeah, there just weren't enough in the way of stakes. Which, again, I really, really enjoyed that show. Partially, I've said this a million times, so I don't want to say the same thing too much, but I just thought it was masterful set design, masterful special effects. I just thought it was great in terms of that. And I thought the characters were fun too, so hopefully season 2 can improve. For me, Book of Boba Fett is, in hindsight, I'm enjoying it a lot more than Kenobi. So
okay, yeah, I might have to do a rewatch of a lot of it in the next little while.
Especially the first 3 episodes, they're a lot like Mando, where they've got like that kind of fantasy western charm to it. So Good
Yeah,
fun.
but there's no lizards crawling up Mando's nose that creep me out, so that drops it a little
That's
bit.
true. That's true. And there is that sand beastie fight too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look, we're gonna have a month and a half of no shows on where I need to figure out clip ideas, so I got to rewatch something.
Yeah, absolutely.
But maybe one of these days there'll even be a movie on one of them. But oh well.
Who knows?
We were supposed to get Rogue Squadron. Maybe that'll happen someday.
I don't want to talk about it.
All right. Well, I think that's all the talking we're gonna do for the night. We're gonna let Justin go and get his beauty sleep, recover.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah,
week,
I'm dying in this fucked up country ass town.
next week we'll probably be doing a Q&A episode. We'll confirm on that sooner or later and let everyone know what we end up deciding. We're still going to be taking a bit of a break on the books as both of us try to get our other projects
Get our
going.
shit together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had actual history reading for the first while.
I'd say like the new year might be a good time to aim to return to reading.
Right, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Because there's like a bunch of big releases coming out in books. Like
Are there?
Yeah, I hear that George R. R. Martin is getting really close on Winds of Winter.
He's edging us again. Did I ever tell you? I think I've told this story before, but I read the first 5 Game of Thrones books, the 5 or Song of Ice and Fire books, and I skipped the show. I was like, I want to finish the books first. Little did I know, of course, that.
Yeah, I was doing the same. Like, I think I started reading the books around the time A Dance with Dragons was coming out. I think that's the last one. Around, which is close to when the show started airing. And like I was in like 2nd or 3rd year of university, and my friend from high school came up who I hadn't seen for like 4 years. And we were talking about whether Jon Snow was alive or dead. And that was like 10 years ago now. I have not talked to him since, but there's still no new book.
I will say I did watch the first 2 seasons of the show, and they were really phenomenal. And that's kind of like, I think I watched the 2 seasons first, and then I was like, "This is so good, I want to read the books." Yeah. And then now I'm in the weird limbo, especially where I know the show kind of falls off hard.
Well, yeah, it's a shame they never made any seasons beyond those 2 either. The show seems to, or the franchise just seems really bad at actually
one of the great mysteries.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Remember, leave us reviews on any platform, including Audible, and we'll get to those reviews next time as well. Send in your questions for next week. tapcaftransmissions@gmail.com. No E, TAPCAF, TRANSMISSIONS at symbol GMAIL dot, that's a period, COM. Or check the description.
Crushed her, buddy.
Yeah, so thanks again, everyone. Any last words, Justin?
Nope. Sorry for the sickness this episode.
But here on